Thank you all for participation in our abbreviated July fund drive with our reduced goal from 15 to 12,000. But the great news is, and this is incredible for us, is that midway, we're already at 10,000 of our 12,000 goal. So we really appreciate it, but we don't want to stop at all. You will see on Monday, we're going to publish all of the donors up to yesterday. And we're also going to go back to our original goal, which was only 15,000. But we think we really can get to that point. So if you could help us again, keep pushing. We have 2 more weeks to finish it up. And that 15,000 will go to keep us on the air. So thank you. And that's the end of that report.
Yeah. Ask your guests, ask yourself. And to that one host that gave the $200,000 a few days ago, we are very appreciative. Thank you, Larry.
He's on mute. Okay. Did you want Haley to?
Joke.
200,000.
Now we're going to hear from Haley. She's going to tell us about her new movie that she made. It's called Here's to You, ThinkTech.
I made a promotional video for ThinkTech. It was suggested by Lillian, so a bunch of different hosts participated, and you can find it on our website. If you go to the thinktechhawaii.com, you scroll down to the bottom of the page. It's right here.
Maybe you haven't heard of us. We're ThinkTech Hawaii.
A Hawaii nonprofit through and through.
Founded in 2001
to raise public awareness on a platform for civic engagement,
where citizen journalists can cover tech, energy, business, and global awareness.
And so much more about the changes in our world.
Now we produce and stream 30 shows a week.
And we stream our earlier shows all night long.
We stream them from our downtown studio.
And we connect with our guests everywhere.
And COVID-19 has not stopped us at all.
We've maintained our broadcast schedule.
And reached out to hosts and guests everywhere.
Our show hosts are dedicated and curious.
The ThinkTech family has built it day by day.
And they make it happen and grow day by day.
You can see our work on thinktechhawaii.com.
And our smartphone apps on Apple and Android.
And on Facebook, Twitter, Vimeo, and Olelo TV.
Sign up for our daily email advisories.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Download our apps to watch us on the go.
Send us questions to our hosts and guests live on the air.
And take our surveys so we can learn from one another.
You'll find that ThinkTech is all around you.
Working to bring you better news and features.
Great content you won't find anywhere else.
It's time you learned more about us.
It's time you learned more from us.
Check it out on thinktechhawaii.com.
That's thinktechhawaii.com.
That's right, thinktechhawaii.com.
Fabulous. Thank you, Haley. Nice work, Haley.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Yay. So, Haley, tell us about the next movie and the movies after that, because we're going to do one every 60 days.
Mm-hmm. So the next one, we're going to do a little promo for our social media platforms, also streaming and etc., things like that, because we don't really promote it that often, so we need to do that more. And then there's going to be a video encouraging people to be a guest, and another one about how we're still going strong through this COVID pandemic.
Thank you, Haley. Looking forward to the next 3 of them at least. And thank to everybody who was involved, who showed up, and who participated in making that video. We'll do that again. We'll bring in everybody we can. Next one is talking about the host checklist for best production values. And that's gestures, light, windows, distance. I don't mean social distance either. Height and position of computer, and standing up in the show. Eric, you've been doing this on a daily basis. Tell us what you've learned. Tell us what you recommend to the hosts.
So the biggest thing is just, where you position your camera, because we want to have everyone to be the same size, same shape and everything. As some of you just have the close-up headshot, which is fine because we're not doing a show, but usually kind of like what I've got here, there's room to the left and right as well as above my head, because you want to fit the screen but not be blown up right in everybody's face. For lighting and stuff, it's best to obviously face away from the window like I'm doing right now. I have the light coming in. I could probably turn a little bit, get better front face light. But windows behind you is a no-go. What else is on the list? For people who want to stand up, again, it's just try to match this similar kind of frame here. Obviously, you're going to have to bring your computer way up as well because you don't want that upper shot looking at the bottom of your chin. That's pretty much it.
Okay, I'm going to go around the screen and tell you what I think about all the people here, and you can see yourself, so you'll know whether you pass with flying. This is like the restaurant rating system. Whether you pass with flying colors, whether you need to do something. Okay, Melissa, you're a little overlit. What, Derek?
I don't know if you've seen this or not. I don't know the address, but my wife showed me that there's a Twitter account where people like comment on like people in the national media on the background behind them, their houses, their bookcases. It's pretty entertaining. So that's like light entertainment.
Send it. Can you send it? Send it to me and Jay. I'd like to see it, and we'll pass it on.
Send us a link. Can you do
Absolutely.
that? Yeah. I'm going to go quickly now. Melissa, you're maybe a little bit too well lit. Catherine, you're okay. I would put some more light on your face, though, honestly. Richard, you're too low. You have too much headroom on top of you, and you have to sit up. That's my problem. I sit back like this, and I lose my position. Mark, you're pretty good, although I can see the ceiling. I should not be able to see the ceiling, but your color and light is good. Grace, you don't have enough light on you. You need to get a lamp or something in front of you, maybe a ring light. Catherine has a ring light. And Mitch, you probably need a green screen. Martha Rose, you look pretty good, but you're too close. You have to find a place, a little further back, tilt the thing back. We want everybody to look good. You know, if you watch PBS and CNN and MSNBC, they're not as good as we are. We want to be better. Let's see. Chuck, you need more light on your face. Sharon, you need more light on your face. And you have too much headroom. You look like you're sinking into the bottom of the... Eric, you're really good. You must be experienced at this. Okay, and we have an iPhone. Krista is doing an iPhone. So you could do an iPhone, you should turn it on the side, not straight up. This leaves us with a, much better. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so much better. Wow, I'm so excited. Okay, anyway, that's just, if you look at yourself, you can improve yourself.
Again, just with the positions, whatever position that you're going to be in, try to stay in that position. No like leaning backwards or forwards or left or right. Just try to sit as still as you can.
Melissa, you can talk about Zoom tricks and audio controls and the use of phones and muting and the chat box. Can you talk about that, Melissa?
Okay, so I'm going to focus mostly on two things. Well, one, always have your chat box open. So that way me or Eric can tell you when like 1 minute to break or 3 minutes to closing, or if you have a question from a viewer. And then we will try ring a bell. So if you hear like a ding, that's how you know we have a question for you that you have to read on air. And if you hear like a long chime, I forget how it goes, that kind of means like look at the chat, you could be running out of time. And then the second thing is that we would rather you not use your phone when you do Zoom meetings, because the phone has really terrible audio. So it just doesn't sound right. That's all I can say.
Okay, the other thing is don't forget that the questions come up on chat. If you don't have the chat open, you're at a disadvantage to see the questions. We want to get really crisp about that. We want to spot them right away when they come in by email. We want you to know about it. And so if you not only hold your chat box open, but look at it, it's right there. It's close to the screen, so you're not going to, have that look away feeling. Then see the question. Of course, as we talked about before, you don't have to read the question to them right now. You can wait till the right time of the show, and that's up to you as host. We had one host who is not with us today, who made this big thing on the air about he was getting questions, but it wasn't the right time. Well, it can't be the right time. You have to figure the right time, and so you wait. And if the question's really bad, skip it. It's okay. If you use it, thank the viewer for the question, and try to put the question in the context of that part of the discussion. Questions are really worth the effort. If you ever watch these shows with questions, it really brightens up the show. It makes you feel like there's somebody else in the room, and it's a tremendous boost to the viewability and the interest of the show. So keep the chat box open and watch. Also, you're going to get notes about you're running out of time. Keep your eye on that too. If it says 3 minutes, okay, now you can plan the rest of your discussion or 2 minutes or 1 minute. So watch out for time notices on the chat box. It's the engineer's way of communicating with you. Okay, selecting show content. Of course, we used that big sign about, news first. And that's what the deal was in Hawaii Public Radio too. I mean, we want people to click this show into their view of the world. You want them to find something resonant about what they're thinking about in the ordinary course. And it's an easy bet about, current events and Trump and COVID and illness and whatnot that's going on and, all the stuff that's happening in the world. But sometimes your show doesn't really cover that. And if it doesn't, then you should try to find some other news hook. There should always be a news hook. In other words, somebody watching the show months later should be able to look at the show and say, so the important thing is to have a news hook. And of course, the more current the show is, the more topical it is, the more it tracks on things that they've seen in other media, the better. I mean, you educate people by coming at them from all sides on the same issue. And then they say, these guys know what they're talking about. They're talking about something that's current. So I know some things are not as current as other things. As a matter of fact, we have a list of how current is the subject of this show. And I think you want to be as current as you can. All right, then I wanted to talk about the evolution of the discussion. The one point to remember is you don't want to go backward. and actually that happens plenty in our shows and it's not particularly good. What I do in my own head, this comes from my experience with PBS a long time ago, is you make a list of say 5 topics in your head. No matter what you write down, you make a list of 5 topics in your head and you're going to progress through those topics. Of course, you're going to leave yourself, room to chase the sausage, so to speak, to respond to an answer with another question on the same point. But mostly you're going to move the needle down those 5 topics. What you never want to do is go from topic 4 back to topic 2. You never want to go back and say, I want to talk some more about question 2. No, you've already talked about question 2. You have to keep moving forward. That's one thing. And the second point about that is there should be a kind of logical connection. The best show is the one, where you're moving from one topic to another. There's a connection, a segue, if you want, a rational connection that people can follow. We were just talking about A, and A reminds me of B, and now we're going to talk about B. If there's a connection, everybody can follow that a lot easier. It's just easier for the viewer, to make the trip with you. And of course, as Mitch and I do in our energy show, you want to try to summarize at the end. That's why we ask you to do the takeaway. Not to say that the takeaway is going to be right. That's always futuristic. It's an expectation rather than a fact. But the idea is you want to state what the takeaway is. What have we given you here today?
Actually, it would be, I've been doing this for quite a while, a couple of years, and that's the first time I've had that guidance, and I appreciate it.
I think that what you're saying is exactly right. I'm in a little different situation because I'm not actually the host of our show. I'm more like a producer. But but what I tell the host, Karina, is you're having a really interesting conversation with a fascinating person. So yes, you want to know what you want to say. You want, like you said, general topics, but then that the conversation flows somewhat. But she's actually she feels comfortable kind of with a more point by point script. So she, that makes her feel comfortable. I think after she's done it longer, like, how many shows have you done? Do you have a count?
No, I prefer not to do that. It's like counting rings on the tree.
It's a lot, I'm sure. So you get a lot more comfortable and you realize that it's not that scary maybe to, have a few outline points and you can take it from there. So you get more confident. I think in the beginning when you're confident, you don't want to be sitting there going, what do I say,
I would add one other point that I hadn't mentioned, and that is you always want to have the putative next question in your mind, the likely question you can go to. It's got to be forming up in your mind while you're listening to this person speak. So
But
you're
I-
never caught short.
But I also really liked what you said last time, which is to make sure to listen. Don't just think about what you're going to say, but listen to what they're saying. Really listen. I know it can be distracting with everything going on. But some of the best questions, right, are questions you never thought of ahead of time that you only think of from something they say.
Yeah, that's very well taken. Richard, I know you're thinking about this. What are you thinking?
I've always used an outline, and I've kind of programmed from the beginning of the session to the end what message I want to get across and what questions I need between the beginning and the end. So you get in a show, you can often forget key elements you wanted to get across. So I have a very brief outline of 6 or 7 bullet points taking me from the beginning to the end. So I have a flow to the show, and it's worked really successfully for me because I often incorporate PowerPoint slides into it, and I send Haley in advance my script. I don't want to call it a script, but my outline, which identifies when the slide is going to be on the screen. So I think it's worked fairly effectively, but if I don't plan that out, I find that it would be a little more disorganized for me. I need to have kind of a flow pattern of where I want to go in the 28 minutes.
Yeah, and your comments make me think that the next time we meet, which will be August 21st, we should talk about slides. We should talk about graphics and how to handle them, both from the engineering side and also the the host side and the guest side. It's very important, and it makes for a much better show if you do it well.
Wait, Larry Grimm might have something to say.
Larry, where's Larry? Okay.
Yeah, right here.
I see you. You can't run. You can't hide. We'll find you.
I wanted to comment that associating the takeaway with the last closing statement of the show is really helpful. I hadn't heard that before. Very good. And then I also turn around and say, at the very first of the store of the show, I need a question. I think a hooker question. And sometimes the more radical they are, the more interesting the show will be. So associating that takeaway with a hooker question right at the first is real important. I read a book once that said, you only have 3 seconds. And everybody makes a judgment within 3 to 5 seconds of whether or not they're going to stick with the show.
Yeah, it's true. And we talked about this before, but don't waste the 3 seconds. You got to get right into it. And your first question should be Rocco Sacco. And you don't want to spend a lot of time talking about where the guy was born. Don't care about that. You can weave that into discussion later. You can always bring it in where he was born. But at the beginning, you want to connect it up and say, hey man, you see that article in the paper? Wow, what about that? What about you in that article? Let's place you there. And so, that'll hold people.
The last show, I guess it was, that you commented about putting the show on Facebook and other places. Well, I did. And I'm telling you, I have gotten 2,600 comments, and you've been sending them to me from all over the country about that particular program.
Well, I think that you've been doing programs on Black Lives Matter. You've been doing programs on the demonstrations, on justice in general, and that's high relevance right now. People are going to be searching for that. They're going to use search terms, and they're going to find you that way. And that shows you my first point about trying to make it relevant to what's going on in the world. And that's how you're going to get that. And P.S., by the way, Eric will tell you, we put our shows, your shows, on Facebook. They're on Facebook Live, yeah? So you don't have to worry about that. It's there. If you want to put it on your own, go ahead. Catherine is going to, this is very important. Catherine is going, what are you going to talk about, Catherine?
Okay, 3 things. First of all, my new show that started on Wednesday, The Wide World of Esports. I felt that a different look needed to happen here. I actually hope my light is better on my face, Jay, because I moved the ring light down. That was part of what I had done. But the background,
you do look better. I
experimented with it higher, so it didn't work. Anyway, the background I have was probably about 2 or 3 hours worth of effort to get this background, because this background has been, I've tested it with a Generation Z person, because esports is definitely a demographic between 18 and 25 in terms of the players, the pro players, but it's a larger range. But this was with a lot of thought. Also, the fact that I'm wearing black, I decided that that would be kind of my uniform for this show. And so I put a lot of effort into that, because I want to have the background reflect the content. But one thing I did in preparation for my first show in this series is I got on and did a Zoom test, and I spent some time on the Zoom test to see how I looked, and to make sure the background was good, but also to make sure my hair looked good, and to make sure I put makeup in the right place on my face. Because every time I do a show with Jay, like, it's ridiculous how weird my face looks. Like when we did the Hamilton one, I had like, it looked like I was crying. I had water under my eyes for some reason. We've done shows where it looked like I had a white mustache, like a Hitler white mustache. I mean, it's ridiculous. So anyway, I think that the Zoom test to see what you look like will help eliminate some of those ridiculous things that you see. And then you don't see some weird thing that's very distracting and distracting away from what you're doing. And I actually keep brush, makeup, and everything I need right next to me in case that's something I need to do.
Very good. That's actually, that was suggested to us a long time ago by Michael Cooper, who was a director back when, who came out of Hollywood. And so I think that's good advice, especially with Zoom, because Zoom is unforgiving. That's one thing about Zoom. And we can change it a little bit, but sometimes you need to have those makeup things around. Yeah.
And there was one other thing that I wanted to tell you that I did that I hadn't done before. I was too lazy to do before. And that was, I went on my computer under settings and I found the alerts, and I turned down the volume on alerts to 0, so that when I do these shows that I don't have this beep beep from email alerts and things like that. So I think that's something to do as well. Those were that was my my process of discovery. The other thing I just wanted to point out was my guest, I think, looked really good thanks to Eric, and because Eric did a really good job in helping him set up how he was in front of the computer, so his position was really good. Because for esports, you have to have fast paced, you have to be in your face, and I think that show shows that, and shows that rapid pace, you know, in your face kind of thing. That
you're absolutely right. You want to achieve that. You know, one thing about the start of these shows is that so often when I watch them, there's a gap between the time the bumper ends and the time the guest gets started. And you want to be professional, no gap. As soon as you know you're on, it's a very mini millisecond that you know you're on, you're talking, you're out there. Don't look like a deer in the headlight. Don't look like you're waiting for a Godot. You're on. It's better to be early than late. I say that in general. So I would like to see no gap at all in any show. The other thing is on collaboration. You know, Richard, somebody came to us and they said, why don't you talk about the effect of COVID and social distancing at meetings of the boards of directors of the condo? I meant to write to you about that. I don't know if you've covered that, but I think, you know, since I heard it, I want to tell you. And there's all kinds of other things where I hear of it and somebody else hears of it. You should go to the host who covers that beat. Tell them about guests that work out, you know, tell them about shows and subjects, and let's share ideas here, because he may not think of it, but you've heard of it, you know, you've had contact with it, you can think of it and you can help him. By the same, and it goes also to questions. It really is doing a great service to ThinkTech if you do watch a show once in a while and ask a question. Haley is trying so hard to get you to do that, so please do it at least once in a while.
2 things. Number one, I want to thank Haley and Eric, because no matter how strange of whatever I think I want to do, they always help me make it happen. They are just super. And you mentioned Black Lives Matter. Well, this week we're making a little twist, and that is we're doing the Trail of Tears.
Very good.
Because
very good. I think you'll find that very few people know about the Trail of Tears.
my
This is a
great
perfect and
grandmother was on
appropriate
the
time.
Trail of Tears. So
Okay.
that's why we're doing it.
Well, no, you should do it even if your great grandfather wasn't involved. Honestly. Okay,
No, my
moving on.
great-great-grandfather- My great-great-grandfather was General John Bell Hood, you know, the Confederate general.
Grace, are you
That
writing this down?
Huh?
Never mind. Does he have a
Okay.
statue in some southern city? Okay, Carol, let's talk about what happened with the Hawaiian women's lawyers. Nobody knows.
I'll just let you know that we had an opportunity last week to produce a program for KITV. It was a Hawaii Women Lawyers debate of the prosecutor candidates. It was a 7-person debate. We broadcast on KITV, on Hawaii Women Lawyers, and our Facebook and live stream. And we're probably going to do it again after the primary, and we also may do the mayor race. But it's a step for us, in addition to, of course, our 30 shows with you, in addition to fundraising, in addition to surveys that we put out, in addition to grant writing, we're going the next step. And that leads to, Jay, you want to talk about super shows?
Yeah, super shows. Okay, so we have real talent here. You know, we have Eric, we have Melissa, we have Haley, and they can engineer super shows. Now, what is a super show? It's like 6 people, a large panel, even more, and we do it just like this, and we broadcast it just like this, and it's involving a large issue, a very current issue, sort of like maybe a election issue or something that is high news, and we bring in a panel, sort of like the way we used to do luncheon panel programs years ago. Okay, and we can do this, and we want to develop this to the point where we can give it to KITV or anyone, and we can stream it to them live and they can broadcast it. So this our new model, and it's an hour long, right? So our new model is Super Show. If any of you guys have an idea, a Super Show, let us know, because we want to develop the model, the new model, and we want to do something. Right? One other thing was the host award program. Is anybody interested in a host award program?
Okay, so you know, every December, for those of you who've been with us for over a year, we have an annual holiday party in which we have a guest speaker, like the Attorney General, and we always have awards. We have 2 awards, 2 groups of awards, community awards and host awards. This year, of course, whether we have a holiday party or not is up in the air, and probably not. But we do want to recognize our hosts. So Jay and I are working on developing a new system, criteria, a committee, maybe you nominate each other, maybe we vote. So just stay tuned, that we want to recognize you for all the hard work you've been doing, particularly this year, and honor you. So although we may not have a holiday party, we do want to have some way of acknowledging and thanking our hosts.
On the 3rd of whatever next month is, we are going to host the OHA candidates, which nobody ever bothers with. And so my question is, how can we, using another Zoom, connect with you so that we do exactly what you're saying, reach a broader audience?
We should talk about that separately, but thank you for, we'll definitely follow.
Yeah, let's follow up on that. Okay, any other comments anybody want to make? Because we are now at 35 minutes.
I just wanted to thank Melissa and Jay for giving the idea of having a short prep session before the ThinkTech session. It's really helped. We get in mind what we want to do, where we want to start, what sequence we want to follow, and where we want to go. Really helps.
Mitch, you got anything profound? Go for it.
I don't want to lose.
No votes. Okay. We won't tell. Our next meeting, our next Zoom host meeting will be a 3rd Friday of August, which is August 21, 3rd Friday of August at 3 p.m. Thank you all for coming on. You know, the first meeting we had like 40 plus. Last time we had 20 plus. We're getting a smaller and smaller group, but hopefully these topics are of interest to you, send in your suggestions. And I think that's it, Jay.
Okay, I sent you a poll for two reasons. One is I want to see if everybody can make it. It looks like most people can. So answer the poll right now. It's on your screen to see whether you can make it on Friday, August 21st. The other reason I sent you the poll is I want you to know that such a thing exists. And if you want to be creative, think of how you could use this, like in a super show, like among your various guests. So it's a tool, it's here. And I want you to see it, not only to answer this question, but to know it exists.
It's only for live shows, right? Because it's not going to help when it's rebroadcast.
It's only among the people who are on the virtual show.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, anyway, thank you very much, all of you. Kisses. Stay safe. We'll see you on August 21st. Have a great time improving our world, okay?